Rain fell over the city like judgment. Each drop carried the weight of indifference, from people too busy, too proud, or too afraid to see the pain in front of them. Under a flickering streetlight, a man sat hunched on a soaked bench, tattered coat, gray beard, a grocery bag filled with crumpled papers at his feet. That he looked like every forgotten soul in this city. His name was Samuel Carter. To the world, he was just another homeless man.to himself. He was a memory of something greater. The cafe across the street was closing for the night. Inside, Tom Reynolds, the store manager, sighed as he counted the till. That he glanced outside and saw Samuel sitting near the awning. "Not again," he muttered. He stepped outside, the rain dripping off his umbrella like cold contempt. "Hey, you can't sit here. Move along." Samuel looked up slowly, his voice calm and gravelly. "I'm just trying to stay dry, son." Tom sneered. "This ain't a shelter. Go on before I call the cops." Samuel's eyes were weary. "I ain't bothering nobody." But that didn't matter. To Tom, the man wasn't human. He was mess. Something that made customers uncomfortable. He pulled out his phone. "Yeah, 911? There's a trespasser outside the cafe. Looks dangerous." 10 minutes later, blue and red lights cut through the rain. Sergeant Cole Bryant stepped out first, tall, broad, and carrying an authority that often turned into arrogance. Behind him followed Officer Jensen, younger, nervous, still learning the weight of his badge. Bryant spoke like a man who'd said the same line 1,000 times. "Sir, you've been asked to leave the property." Samuel stood slowly. "I was just waiting for the bus." Bryant frowned. "At midnight? In the rain?" "Yeah, sure." He stepped closer, voice sharp. "Hands where I can see 'em." Samuel sighed. "Officer, there's no need for." Bryant grabbed his arm, shoving him against the wall. Rain splattered across the brick. The young officer flinched. "Sarge, maybe we should." Bryant cut him off. "You don't get to tell me how to handle a vagrant." Samuel didn't resist. Didn't shout. That he just whispered, "You're making a mistake." Inside, the barista pressed her hands against the glass, watching in shock. Tom smirked, proud of his good deed. Bryant searched Samuel's pockets, muttering under his breath, "Let's see what you've got here." Probably stolen change. And he froze. That a black metal card gleamed in his palm. Gold lettering. Sleek design. "What the hell is this?" Samuel looked up at him. "That's a key card." Bryant frowned. "For what? The liquor store?" Jensen leaned closer. "Sarge, that's the Carter Holdings logo." Bryant laughed. "You mean the real estate company?" "You're right." Samuel's voice was soft but heavy. "I built that company 30 years ago." Bryant blinked. "You, what?" The young officer pulled up his tablet, searching quickly. His expression changed. "What, Sarge?" "He's telling the truth. Samuel Carter, founder and majority shareholder of Carter Holdings LLC. Bryant's voice cracked. "No. That company went under. He disappeared." Samuel smiled faintly. "Didn't disappear. I was pushed out. But I kept one thing." He pointed at the cafe behind them. "That building. And the 4 beside it. I still own them." The rain paused, as if even the sky held its breath. The barista pressed her face closer to the glass, whispering, "Oh my God." Tom stepped out, umbrella trembling. "You're lying. You're homeless." Samuel's eyes hardened. "You'd be surprised what kind of people end up on the street. Some of us lost our fortune. Some lost our faith. Some lost both." He turned back to Bryant. "But the funny thing about property, Sergeant, is that ownership doesn't care about appearances." Bryant shifted uncomfortably. "You expect me to believe you own this?" Samuel nodded. "The deed's in my lawyer's office. But if you check the tax records, my name's still there." The rookie confirmed. "It is, Sarge. Carter Holdings still holds title." The crowd had gathered now, filming, whispering, waiting. Bryant's tone softened, pride bleeding into panic. "All right, sir. My apologies for the misunderstanding." Samuel's eyes burned with quiet dignity. "Misunderstanding? You slammed me against a wall. You searched me like a criminal. You judged me before you even asked who I was." Bryant looked down, silent. Samuel turned to the younger officer. "What's your name, son?" "Jensen, sir." "You did fine. You asked questions. Never stop doing that." Then he looked back at Bryant. "You might want to call your captain. Tell him Carter Holdings just had one of its owners assaulted on his own property." Bryant's face drained of color. "You're not serious." "I'm deadly serious." Moments later, a sleek black car pulled up. Out stepped Denise Ward, city property attorney, sharp suit. Cold eyes. The kind of presence that made even police step back. "Mr. Carter," she said, "I came as soon as you called." The crowd murmured. "You called?" Samuel smiled faintly, while he was searching my pockets. Ward turned to Bryant. "Sergeant, you just detained the legal owner of this property. In front of witnesses. On camera. You might want to call your union rep." Bryant stammered, I didn't know." "That's the problem," she interrupted. "You didn't ask. You assumed." The young officer bowed his head in shame. The manager, Tom, tried to interject. "He was loitering. I was just." Samuel held up a hand. "You're fired." Tom blinked. "You can't do that." "I can. You work for Carter Holdings. And I own Carter Holdings." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Samuel's voice grew stronger. "This cafe closes tomorrow? Under new management. Because if this city's going to change, it has to start here, with how we see each other." Bryant lowered his head, finally seeing the man behind the rags. "Mr. Carter? I'm sorry." Samuel studied him. "Sorry isn't justice. But it's a start." He turned to the crowd, rain dripping from his hair, face half lit by the police lights. "You all saw what happened. Remember it. Because power means nothing if you can't treat people with respect." He walked away, slow, steady, unbroken. Every raindrop seemed to echo the rhythm of redemption. 1 week later, the news spread like wildfire. Homeless man revealed as missing CEO Samuel Carter, returns to reclaim company. Carter Holdings boardroom buzzed with tension. Executives whispered about lawsuits, property transfers, and ghosts of the past. And then the door opened. Samuel walked in. Clean suit. Fresh shave. Same fire in his eyes. The room fell silent. "Gentlemen," he said, "I've come to clean house." At the far end of the table, a man in a tailored black suit smirked. Elias Harper, his former partner. Well, Harper said. "The prodigal boss returns." Samuel's gaze didn't move. "Still stealing, Elias?" Harper leaned back. "Still dreaming you can take back what's mine?" Samuel's voice was cold now. "We'll see who owns what when the truth comes out." Lightning flashed through the window. The board members glanced nervously between them. Harper stood, smiling thinly. "Careful, Sam. Some secrets are best left buried." Samuel took a step closer, eyes burning like fire through glass. "So are liars." Thunder roared outside, echoing the storm that was coming. It had been 1 week since Samuel Carter's name echoed through every headline. Homeless man turned CEO. The fall and rise of Carter Holdings. But truth always makes enemies. The boardroom was colder than the rain outside. 15 executives sat around a glass table, silent, watching the man they once discarded walk through the door. Samuel's steps were slow but certain that he'd traded his soaked coat for a navy suit, yet his eyes still carried the streets with him, that raw wisdom of the forgotten. "Gentlemen," he said, voice steady, "let's begin." No one spoke, until he did. Elias Harper, the man who'd betrayed him years ago, now seated at the head of the table, Samuel's chair. "Well," Harper said, smirking, "I'll admit, Sam, you clean up well." Samuel stopped just behind his old seat. "I didn't come back to impress you, Elias. I came back to finish what you started, and take back what's mine." A low chuckle escaped Harper's lips. "Yours? Samuel, you signed over control when you vanished. The company moved on. I moved on. Maybe you should too." Samuel leaned forward, eyes sharp. "You forged that signature. And you know it." Murmurs rippled around the table. Harper's grin faltered for a moment, just a flicker, before he regained his calm. Big accusation for a man who just came in from the cold. Samuel smiled faintly. "I spent years out there, Elias. Lost everything, except one thing." He slid a folder across the table. "My memory." The folder hit the glass with a heavy thud. Inside, copies of property deeds, old bank records, and letters. Every piece connecting Harper to illegal transfers, false partnerships, and shell accounts. Harper's jaw tightened, but before he could speak, the door opened. A woman entered, calm, composed, and radiant with quiet authority. Denise Ward, city attorney and now Samuel's legal advisor. "Good morning," she said smoothly. "I believe you all received my email. Carter Holdings' rightful ownership is under review. Effective immediately, all financial activity is frozen pending investigation." Harper slammed his fist on the table. "This is a setup." Denise's gaze didn't waver. "No, Mr. Harper. It's called accountability." The next few days were a storm. Samuel's return made headlines. Some praised him, others mocked him. Online, people called him the street CEO. But behind the glamour there were whispers, dangerous ones. Late one night, Samuel sat in his office, lights low, rain tapping the window like memory. Across the room, Denise stood by the window reading a document. "They'll come for you, you know," she said softly. "Harper's lost too much to back down quietly." Samuel leaned back, weary. "I've been homeless, humiliated, dragged through mud. There's nothing left to take but my life." Denise turned, eyes steady. "Then you guard it. Because men like him don't play fair." Just then Samuel's phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. "You don't belong here anymore. Go back to the streets, before the streets take you back." He exhaled slowly, the war had begun. The next morning, Samuel met Detective Maya Johnson, a tired but sharp woman from Internal Affairs that she'd been tracking Harper for months on corruption suspicions. "I heard about your comeback," she said, flipping open a file. "Didn't think you'd give me new evidence this fast." Samuel nodded. "You'll find everything in those records. Money wired to shell companies, tax fraud, and payments to city officials." Maya raised an eyebrow. "City officials?" "Yeah," Samuel said quietly. "Including one who helped him seize my properties after I disappeared." She frowned. "Do you have a name?" Samuel hesitated. "Not yet. But I'm close." Maya closed the file. "Then stay close to me. Because when people like Harper start losing control, they stop playing business and start playing dangerous." Days later, Harper called a private meeting. Just him and Samuel. The rooftop of the Carter Holdings building. The city lights below looked like constellations drawn by men who'd forgotten what humility was. Samuel arrived, cautious, calm. Harper stood near the edge, cigarette in hand, rain soaking his shoulders. "Why'd you call me up here?" Samuel asked. Harper smirked. "Because I like to look a man in the eyes before I destroy him." Samuel crossed his arms. "You've already tried that once." Harper's grin darkened. "Not like this. You see, I found something, or rather, someone." He tossed a manila envelope at Samuel's feet. Inside, photos, grainy, black and white. Samuel. A courtroom. A younger woman crying. Harper's voice dropped. "Your daughter, wasn't it? The one who testified against you after your wife died." Samuel froze, eyes wide, pain cutting through years of calm. "How did you?" "I know everything, Sam. And guess what? The court still has your case sealed. But if I leak this, the world won't see a comeback story. They'll see a fraud." Samuel stepped closer. "You really think blackmail will save you?" Harper leaned in, whispering, "No, Sam. I think it'll end you." For a moment, neither spoke. Rain fell harder, wind howling like the ghosts of every mistake. Then Samuel smiled, faint, dangerous. "Funny thing about secrets, Elias?" He pulled out his phone, pressed a button that they cut both ways. A small red light blinked on the screen. "Live recording." Harper's face dropped. You were recording this?" "Every word," Samuel said coldly. "And Maya Johnson's listening on the other end." A siren wailed in the distance, growing closer. For the first time, Harper looked afraid. "You don't know what you've started." Samuel's voice was low, powerful. "No. I just finished it." Moments later, detectives stormed the rooftop. Harper was handcuffed, his voice breaking through the rain. "This isn't over, Carter. You think you've won? You have no idea who you're up against." Maya stepped forward, holding the recorder. "We'll see about that in court." Samuel stood in silence, watching Harper get taken away. The city lights glimmered below, reflections of justice blurred by rain. He turned to Maya. "It's over." She shook her head slowly. "No, Sam. It's only beginning." Harper wasn't working alone. Samuel frowned. "What do you mean?" She handed him a document, a transfer record. At the bottom was a familiar signature. Chief Justice Evelyn Carter. Samuel froze. "Evelyn?" Maya's tone was grim. She authorized the corporate takeover. Harper was just her front man. Lightning cracked across the skyline. Samuel's breath caught in his chest. "She's your sister, isn't she?" Maya asked quietly. Samuel stared into the rain, voice trembling with rage and disbelief. "She was." He looked out over the city, whispering to himself, "But not anymore." The thunder rolled, low, distant, like destiny preparing its next move. If this story shook you, if it made you question what justice really means, then hit that like button and subscribe. Because here on Whispers of Crime, truth doesn't hide in boardrooms. It fights its way out of the rain.